Welcome to the Worst of the Riot podcast. Coming up, who's better than your mom at taking care of you when you're sick?
Also, a surefire way your pet can get you out of work. And more on the Worst of the Riot podcast.
You won't hear a show like this anywhere else. And that's probably for the best. The Worst of the Riot, Radio U.
This weekend was All-Star Weekend for the NBA. Yesterday, an exciting All-Star game, which the East All-Stars did wind up winning 211 to 186. Before that, on Saturday night, was the NBA Slam Dunk Contest. Mac McClung won for the second time in a row, but people were not impressed. Many are calling the dunk contest dead. Isaiah, did you watch any of the dunk contests? Did you see any of the highlights? What are your thoughts?
I saw the highlights. I saw the dunks. I did not watch it live.
How did the highlights feel to you?
Some of them felt cool. I thought Mac McClung's dunks were very creative, very good. Some of the other ones were just okay. Jaylen Brown didn't really impress me at all.
Yeah.
His dunks were not great. I thought Jacob Toppin had some pretty good dunks, but Mac McClung, the clear winner.
I watched it live, and I agree. Jaylen Brown, that was one of the big criticisms. People were not clear why he wound up advancing to the final. I think it is clear because he was the biggest name, and the biggest name I feel that's been in the dunk contest for several years. So they just wanted to keep him around in a contest that's entirely subjective anyways. But I'll tell you, watching it live, it was borderline embarrassing. And it's not that the dunks any of them were that bad. I mean, you got guys jumping over other people, which is by and large what it was, just jumping. I mean, literally somebody in the first round, I don't remember who it was, jumped over Shaq. And then in the final, Mac McClung jumps over Shaq. So that not a whole heck of a lot of creativity. But then again, there's only so many ways you can dunk a basketball. I don't know that we need to see something completely new that we've never seen before every time. It was just the whole vibe of it. People didn't seem to care. The judges were kind of sleepy and just giving everything like 48s, which is, I guess, typical. But it just didn't feel exciting. And it was confusing, too, because I've also seen people saying this, that the dunk contest and the three-point contest, which comes before, should be swapped so the three-point contest closes out the evening. Why is the three-point contest more exciting than the dunk contest?
It's because the people that are in it.
Is that you think it's just the big names that makes it?
Yes. I mean, Mac McClung, the dunks that he's doing are incredible. Like the dunks he are doing, everyone's complaining about the dunks. The Mac McClung dunks the past 2 years have been absolutely incredible. As good as any dunk that we've seen in the last 20 years. People talk about Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine and how great that dunk contest was. Mac McClung's dunks are like that good. They're just as good.
They're pretty good.
They're pretty incredible. I mean, the one that he did where he jumps over one of the random people and completely takes his hands off the ball and then reverse. I mean, an absolutely unreal dunk, but nobody cares because it's Mac McClung.
Yeah.
If LeBron did that same thing, what would everyone be talking about today?
It would be a pretty big deal.
Be a pretty huge deal. What happened in the three-point contest? Who won it? Damian Lillard.
Big star.
And then if you think about just think about the people that compete in it. Donovan Mitchell, Karl Anthony Towns, Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah.
I mean, I could list almost every single person. Lauri Markkanen. I could list every single person. I can't tell you outside of Jaylen Brown. I know that there was 4 people. I can't even tell you who all 4 were.
Yeah, I forget. Or
what teams they play for.
But and off the top of my head, I did not remember. I'll tell you, I don't know. I think, because here's the other thing too, right? The dunk contest, these guys are doing impressive things. Everybody completed their dunks, I believe. There wasn't even one, where a guy ran out of time because he couldn't get it done.
That's the worst.
Yeah, that sucks. But these dunks are stuff this is more impressive than what you see in any game.
Yeah.
And yet the three-point contest is more exciting. You see a three-pointer made, 30 times a game probably. And these dunks are all more impressive than that. And for some reason, it still feels unexciting. I have some thoughts, though, of ways that we can amp it up. And I'm not just talking about an LED court, which they did have, which was cool.
Was cool.
Here's a couple ideas. One, have multiple people trying to dunk at the same time.
Interesting.
Speed it up and make some competition out of it. It's a competition. Make it a competition.
Okay.
And two, along that same line, What's one of the other best things about basketball? One of the other best highlights? Blocks. Put somebody there, trying to block them.
Oh, goodness.
Try to do your little fancy tricks with Victor Wembanyama standing in the way. You jump over Shaq, Victor Wembanyama's there. You got to get over both of them. Try that.
That sounds like something different.
Yeah, because we need something. It was not good. It was not good on Saturday night.
And I think another thing that makes the three-point contest so great is the scoring system.
Yeah.
The scoring system for the dunk contest, right. I'll tell you what they need to do. Instead of doing the whole 48, 49, 50 thing, just rate the dunks 1 through 4.
Yeah.
Everybody can have a 50. Let them watch all the dunks.
That's right. The 50s don't mean anything.
Rate them 1 through 4, or have it be a knockout bracket to where you're 1v1, Mac McClung, Jacob Toppin in the first round. You both get a dunk, move on. I can't do all the 50s. Everybody gives a 10. I can't do all the 50s.
Yeah. Something needs to change, that's for sure. Let us know what you would do. 8772 Radio U to fix the dunk contest.
Nobody does it better. The Riot Radio U.
Now, some controversy was brewing in the world of professional darts last week. And you know it's got to be some good controversy if we're talking darts on the Riot. It all comes down to Darren the Demolition Man Webster. He's a 55-year-old professional darts player.
What a name, by the way.
Yeah, they have some great nicknames. The better the nickname, the less interesting the sport is, I believe, is how it works. So Darren the Demolition Man Webster, still going strong at 55 in the pro darts circuit. He had a commanding lead over Ron the Bomb Meulenkamp, a 35-year-old pro darts player from the Netherlands. But over time, after a commanding lead, a 3-0 lead in a best of 7 for Darren the Demolition Man Webster, he eventually succumbed to Ron the Bomb Meulenkamp, who wound up coming back for the victory.
He came back from a 3-0 deficit?
3-0. He won 4 straight.
Wow.
To get the win. Now, after the fact, Darren the Demolition Man Webster refused the customary handshake with Ron the Bomb Meulenkamp.
Refused it? Refused the handshake at the end. Unbelievable.
I'm sure you had a really good sound effect that you were trying to play there.
Was.
He refused the handshake and then took to social media to explain his distaste. He says, when you play a guy, and this is a quote from Darren the Demolition Man Webster, when you play a guy who farts and stinks the stage out and denies it, then kick you when you're playing the stall every time they throw, every time you throw, because they are no good. Good luck for the future, but not interested.
What a wild thing to
You hear that?
claim.
He claims that Ron the Bomb Meulenkamp, that he got that they didn't give him that nickname for nothing, is what it sounds like to me. He's saying Darren is blaming his darts loss after being up 3-0 to lose 4-3. He's blaming it on farts.
Can that be? He called him just a big kid. That's what he called him. Darren, I feel as if, you know what I'll say? I don't think this is a fair claim.
You don't think? I mean, why do you say that?
I think Darren, a little bit upset he blew a 3-0 lead. There's no chance. And this has happened before, shockingly. Back in 2018 was the original Fartgate of professional darts.
Why has this happened multiple times?
And so in my mind, I'm thinking Darren's just going back to an old trick.
Yeah.
Going back to an old well.
In darts, this is the only sport where this can happen. And it doesn't reflect well on you to blame your loss on somebody else stinking things up. Can you imagine after the Super Bowl if Brock Purdy was like, you can't blame me. George Karlaftis was just out here stinking things up. How am I supposed to play under these conditions?
How am I supposed to be able to focus?
Yeah. This is, you want darts to be taken seriously, this isn't the way.
This is not the way, Darren. You cannot blame people for this.
It doesn't make you seem better. It just makes you seem like you can't. I mean, I am able to function with all kinds of smells in here. And somehow I power through. So I think you, Darren, the Demolition Man Webster, need to have a little more mental fortitude. This is why you're never going to be known as one of the great darters of all time, because you can't deal with the stink.
Blew a 3-0 lead.
Yeah.
You had it in the bag.
This is losers talk right here.
This is Radio U's Worst of the Riot.
Should you get time off when your pet passes away? According to Erica Sinner, CEO of Directory, she calls herself not a chief executive officer, but a chief empathy officer. And at her company, Directory, they do something that's fairly unique, fairly uncommon, but she thinks it should become more widespread. She, at Directory, offers pet bereavement leave for her employees. Isaiah, you think this is something that should expand out, that more and more companies need to adopt the policy of paid pet bereavement leave?
I feel like I'm not against it.
Uh-huh.
If your dog dies, your longtime dog dies, I feel like that bereavement time is just as warranted as almost anybody's.
I mean, you think about it, you live with your dog.
It's part of your family.
Other people that you could be justified in taking bereavement time off for, and they could be people you haven't seen or spoken to in years.
Your dog's like for me, Jim's like my kid.
Yeah.
He's like my child. When he passes away, it's like watching your own child pass. Nobody wants to see that.
Yeah. I feel like this is what I always think about with stuff like this too. Think about coming in, think about you're an employer, and you've got an employee coming in, their dog just died. You think that employee is going to be getting some real good work done? You think they're real, especially if it's anything like public facing? I mean, maybe they'll get some sympathy because you know they're going to probably bring it up to several people, several customers, probably. but you're like, if you're working at a bank, you're probably, if you got customers coming in,
you're going to be bringing that up.
I feel like you mention it.
I don't think you mention it.
I think you do. I think you do. Easy sympathy. And how?
Oh, sorry, I'm going so slow. My dog died this morning.
Yeah, I think you could definitely use that.
Sorry, your burger came out late. My dog passed away.
Yeah, yet again. Yeah, if you're working at Burger King, I don't know if they're probably the most forward thinking when it comes to paid time off. But you think you're an employee that's pets just died. You think they're going to be getting some real good burgers flipped for you? You think they're going to be putting their best foot forward at work that day? Probably not. You should probably just give them the day off anyways.
I think about it the other way around as well. Like if your pet died and you're going to sit across from me all day, I don't want you in here.
That's right.
The mere fact that, like, it's just, I know you're going to be in a bad mood.
Yeah.
I know you're going to be upset. And obviously I'm going to say, like, I'm sorry about your pet passing. But then I feel like I'm walking on eggshells the rest of the day. It makes me feel uncomfortable being here.
If we were desk mates and your pet had passed away, obviously at first it's like, oh, I'm so sorry, whatever. But then, yeah, you have to spend the whole rest of the day together. Can you make jokes?
No.
Then it's like, then I start to tell something about my dog, but I'm like, wait, no, I shouldn't do that.
Shouldn't bring up a pet in general.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's numerous reasons why pet bereavement time.
You only get one day, though.
Yeah, I think one day's enough.
One day. The day after.
But then again, here's what I'm thinking, though. Some people, if you offer specifically pet bereavement time, then the people without pets are going to feel discriminated against. So what I think is you should offer more, or you should allow pets to qualify for bereavement time. That's all. Because realistically, too, how often do you need to use your bereavement time?
Almost never.
I have worked here for several years. We get multiple days of bereavement time every year. I've never used any of it. And I've had grandparents die. I haven't been able to go. I should use that time. I should. Yeah. But yeah, so yet again, pet bereavement time, specifically for pets, maybe not, but just allow employees to use their bereavement time on pets. I don't see the downside.
I'm going to start fostering pups, older pups.
Just so you can get extra days off.
If podcast awards were ever a thing, this show wouldn't win any. This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
Keep that number handy because we've got an age-old debate here you might want to weigh in on. This has been going around online, and I feel like I've heard this a few times before. I've got a woman here, 24 years old, met a guy on one of the apps. Things seem to be going pretty well. He was 28, he claimed. They had a lot of similar interests. Messages were going well. They decided to meet up for a date. And when she meets him in person, she sees that he is older than his picture showed, and then asked about it. She just went ahead and asked and said, how old are you? And he said, actually, 42.
Not 28.
Not 28. It's a pretty big gap.
Pretty big jump.
And listen to this. He didn't just say, I'm actually 42. He said, I'm actually 42, but age is just a number.
We love that one.
Yeah.
He had that ready.
Yeah. He's, I feel like she's not the first person he's told that to. And so after that interaction, she says she got the ick. She told him she forgot her phone in the car, and she left and did not return. Now, here's the controversy. She, first of all, he messaged her asking where she went. She said she went home because I'm not into older guys or being lied to. But after telling some of her friends, they thought that she shouldn't have done that. Also, the guy said she was being too shallow, and that's why he doesn't say his real age. Where do we land on this one, Isaiah?
Her friends are saying that she should have stayed.
Yeah, her friends are saying that she should not, that she should not have left. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say no, you don't need to stay. You don't have to walk out in that way either.
Uh-huh.
But the first thing that you're doing in this relationship is lying to me.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that off the rip.
Yeah, forget about the age thing. Forget about
just the lie.
Yeah. Because if he was honest at first, maybe it would have been fine. Because clearly they got along outside of that. But since he was lying, you can't start off on that foot. You can't do it. And that's different than kind of pumping up your best characteristics. You're literally lying.
Yeah, that's different than being on the first date and being maybe a little bit more outgoing than you usually are, or trying to seem whatever way. If you're lying about your age off rip, I would say no.
Yeah.
You don't have to. You shouldn't feel wrong for leaving that one. You're 24 years old. He said he was 28. Turns out he's 42.
Uh-huh.
I would say no. And if age is just a number, then for him, I would also ask the question of, and you're not into girls that are even similarly aged to you?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I don't like the idea, because I can picture this, right? I can picture the scenario. I can picture him justifying it, going, well, I'm into girls that are my type is girls that are around their mid-20s. But if I say that I'm 42, then the girls that are around their mid-20s I'm not even gonna come up in their search. And then but to me, I could say this, I could go, well, I'm really into supermodels. And supermodels aren't really, if I put my actual picture on there,
they're not going to be interested in that.
They're not going to be interested in that. So I'll just put a different one. And then once they get to know me online,
they're going to love me then.
Yeah, that's not how, you can't just lie.
No.
You can't lie. You can pump up your best characteristics. Please go ahead. You can't actually lie.
Yeah, be into whatever you want, but you can't be mad at the other person for not being into you.
Yeah.
So if
when you're not who you said you were.
Yeah, when he said she's shallow for leaving because of his age. This is exactly why I don't put it on there.
Yeah.
But no, that's not how it works. Yet again, you can't be upset with her because that's just not what she's into.
Yeah.
She's not into dating guys that are a lot older. There's probably a girl out there that's 40 years old that isn't into dating guys that are a lot younger.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how it works. And so you can't be mad at people for their preferences, and you can't be mad if you're the one lying.
To go back to what her friend said, the friend said that she was being mean for leaving the date and not even telling him. Maybe he was a nice guy and she was being too judgmental because of his age. But listen, he lied. And why does this gal who just thought she was going on a nice date, she gets met with a liar and then she's supposed to have a confrontation there in front of everybody. No, just leave.
You don't owe him anything. You don't owe him anything.
That's right.
If you're going to lie, if he didn't lie, then okay. Then leave the date in a formal matter.
Yeah.
But if you lie off the rip, then no.
Radio U's Worst of the Riot podcast.
No, 2,000 people answered. Who?
They're out of their mind for answering this question. This is a loaded question.
I guess that was anonymous.
Yeah, anonymously. I'm not answering this anonymously.
I don't think it's too loaded to say that, like,
Go for it.
I don't think it's too
Go
loaded
ahead.
to say that like there's nothing quite like when you're growing up and your mom's taking care of you.
Wait till Angela hears this part of the podcast.
That's right. Hey, she's very loving and caring and
Is
helpful.
she?
But I think the difference is not that that she's less caring and loving and a better caretaker than my mom. The difference is when your partner is taking care of you versus when your mom was taking care of you when you were sick. I'm an adult now. And so there's still like certain boundaries of like, I should, even if I'm sick, I should be able to do stuff for myself. Whereas when I was a child, your mom is just like, don't worry about it. I'll take care of everything. I don't think it's fair in this survey. I don't think it's a fair comparison, even though the survey found that men 43% to 35% say they're like 43% say mom was better. 35% say partner better taking care of you.
Well, I would say as an adult, I have kind of gotten a little bit of a reputation for being apparently over dramatic sickness.
Oh yeah.
If I'm feeling a little sick, apparently yet again, reputation for being a bit over dramatic.
Yeah.
Acting more sick than I actually am, which when you're a child, your mom never goes at you for that.
That's true too.
Where E immediately is like questioning, how sick is he really? Because once I'm sick, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
I am curled up in my bed. I've got the sheets pretty much over my head. The sheets pretty much over my head. Can't move.
Yeah.
Can't do anything for myself.
How often would you say that happens in let's say a year?
Once
a year?
Maybe once a year.
You're helpless.
I can't do anything.
Yeah.
And it's one time a year, so I feel like it's warranted that for that 3 days, 4 day stretch, maybe you can help me out a little bit.
A 3 day, 4 day stretch.
Yeah. And my mom would never question that. She'd be like, oh, he's really sick.
Yeah.
As soon as I get sick, Eden's like, how sick are you?
Yeah,
really?
but again, what you're doing is not, that's not unique to you. There's a whole term for that. They call it the man flu.
The man flu?
Yeah, have you ever heard of the man flu?
Regina just texted that's called a man cold.
Yeah. It's the idea that you or I, as men, if we're equally as sick as a woman, we're going to make a bigger deal out of it and complain more.
Well, I like being taken care of.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to say that. If I'm sick, I am helpless. I'll tell you right now.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm sick, I'm helpless.
I don't think I fall into this category.
I do.
Yeah, you're a big baby.
yeah, that's what she says. So I would say in that area, then my mom is better.
Yeah.
Because my mom's not going to be like, you can do it.
Yeah.
She'd be like, no, I'll just do it for you.
Or it doesn't feel like, like if you're, like, let's say, like you're married or whatever, you're living together, then it feels like it's you trying to use an excuse to get out of doing the dishes, to like get out of responsibilities, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it feels like, at least to the other person, and probably justifiably so. Does being sick stop me from doing the dishes? It shouldn't. Just because I got a stuffy nose or sore throat, those dishes still need to be done. I better get on it.
I'm not doing any of them. I'm not doing any of them.
Thanks for watching the worst of the Riot. Since you made it this far, you might as well like, subscribe, and check out riot.radiou.com for even more Riot.